Welcome back, everyone. We are now moving on to our final speaker for day 1. Let me first introduce the speaker, Joe Jinman from Joe Jinman Architects Seoul. Joe is the founder of Joe Jinman Architects, established 2014 in Seoul. He is the public architect of the Seoul Metropolitan Government and an adjunct professor at Hanyang University in Seoul. He studied at Hanyang University and Tsinghua University. He was awarded National Young Architect Award from the Ministry of Culture, Kim Soo-gun Prize in 2015, Korean Public Architecture Award from the Ministry of Land and Transportation in 2016, Progressive Architect Award in 2017, Seoul Architecture Awards from Seoul Metropolitan Government in 2018, and in 2019, World Architecture Award from the World Architecture Community and Design Vanguard Award from Architectural Records in the United States. Without further ado, let us welcome Joe Jinman from Joe Jinman Architects to the stage.
Thank you, Veronica. Hi, everyone. It was like 2008. I remember it was my first time to visit here, KL, to reading a small project in Sentul. And since then, I'm here again to share my works with these wonderful people. I'm very happy. Okay, I'm gonna start. Yeah, today my title is Reconnected. I think architecture is not simply the act of designing and making a nice building, but it's connecting people with it's a society and places and history and the surroundings environment. For me, the most essential value of the architecture is from these relationships. So let me start with this, the very nature, old nature of the architecture. Architecture always have been making order and finding the central and you know, it's making functions, efficiencies, etc. So we are very familiar with this, you know, so-called perspective things. But in this world of perspective, there is no shared point of view. But what I'm interested is that if you see this Korean painting is drawing for the bookshelf in 19th, they have very different points coexist, and it's very ambiguous drawings. If you see the Seoul maps for now, you see there's a lot of hierarchies and divisions and orders and sense of centers. But if you see the original map of the 15th century when it was built, you see it's more like very beautiful drawings. See all this relationship between this nature and the road and the houses. Everything is so harmonized. It's almost like veins. There is no order or hierarchy in this. Seoul is very unique. Because I'm telling, because it's most of my work is realized based on Seoul. So there is, I think, only one city that has more than 10 million people living in this in-between mountain topography. There are total 8 mountains. The inner city, we have 4 mountains, and the surrounding city there is another 4 mountains. So in that sense, you see a lot of the small district are interactively located in different orientation without sense of really center. So I think the soulscape is the collective network of tiny structure placed in the geography. So and this very interesting topography, we have a kind of three-dimensional pedestrian network, which is the spine of all the this community is composed like a Seoul City Wall here, and the Cheonggye Stream, and the elevated walkway, which used to be the highway, but now it's turned into park. And we have a very long underground pedestrian network and underground park inside of the city. So I made this diagram. So as you see the city wall, mountains coming, and you have highways and buildings and the streams, underground walkings. So my projects is first thing that I started is this Seoul City Wall Pavilion. I won competitions when I start my office 9 years ago. This is really a small project. See, it's located east side of the city. And so currently there are many houses, low-rise dense houses scattered around all this hill topography. And this is the city wall, and we have the promenade along the city wall. And this is the original condition of the site. So actually, the government set the new site for the pavilion on here, but you see here is only the small flat ground where the adjacent neighborhood can use for their community, like exercise and take, like you can see the very typical pavilion in here, and this is the way up to the city wall. So I changed the site intentionally on this, the in-between space. So luckily I won, and this is how it looked like. So this is the element of the structure. So previously there was a lot of the plants, glasses. So I changed the steps so that people can sit down, and we need the roof for the sunshade, and we need a wall for the information, and booklet here for the small guide rails and so on. The key is that to make a connection between this who walk this city wall and the people who living here. So it's kind of in-between spaces that can be a good site for the project. So this is the shape. Because the city wall was made with the granite, very hard stone, so I wanted to have a different, very light material that is steel. So it's quite, it's not big, but it's not small. It's like 11 meter by 5 meter. I don't want to have any kind of the structure and the facade, but its structure became facade and as minimum vertical thing as possible. So we put this 10 centimeter of structure composed by 1 centimeter of steel plate. So we put a lot of leaf inside like a ship, and then made in a workshop and just installed here very quickly. Yeah. So this is what I intended, like as the neighborhood play here and tourists gather here, and local people drink here. So it's like quite free architecture that, you know. So next project that located in mountain is the quarry viewing gallery and children's playground, which is totally the opposite side of the previous one. You see the city wall still here, and two projects are here. It's really amazing that this is quite city center. You have this kind of amazing, you know, the stone mountain inside of city, but with this stone, modernization of Korea, Seoul has been made. Like they used the stone for the Seoul City Hall and Seoul Station and Korean Bank. But now it's completely covered with these houses and Pogarten. But still you have a city wall here and beautiful mountain behind of it. So this was the previous conditions. It's occupied by the garbage recycle center, police dormitory, and truck parkings, and etc. So it's completely forgotten for the people. So I win these competitions to simply make a very clear gesture to view this the memory of the place. This is image of constructions. So it's super simple, and it's two sides of the cantilevers, and one is on the ground. So this is elevator, then you go up because it's so high level. It's you have to think about these elder people to easy come and easy go. So inside you have a beautiful view to the opposite side of the quarry with the glass furnitures. And we go up the top, this elevator door opens, you can see over the Seoul city, the current things. And this is the other side, you see city wall, the Seoul towers, and Zaha did DDPs. So it's the layer of the city, you can really read it from this kind of project. So we call it diving board, like to jump into the scenery of city. Yeah. Inside we have this cafe with the gallery, so that local artists can have their exhibitions. And I finished design, I saw another potential that is about this water pumping facility, which is completely flat and closed from the public. Because this is so high level, they need this kind of big water pump to provide the drinking water to these houses. And the problem is the pedestrian is not really connected because of this fenced infrastructure. So what I came to my mind is, what if like we connect this part, then if we make another a hanging garden on top of this water pump facility, then the pedestrian can be fully connected to this city wall. So, but in the regulation, you cannot directly put up built on top of this infrastructure. At least they need 2 meters of distance for the maintenance. So I took the different structural shape, to, you know, and it's like just not on directly top, but it's like encompassing all these things. So this is first page, the current the viewing gallery, then you can walk around until and connect to this side of the city wall. And very next to this gallery, so the viewing gallery, I made another small playground for the children here. Here, there's no playground, school very far, so children always play on this road. It's very dangerous. And before it was all car parking here. So we took, the metropolitan government decided to take some part of the parking, then make it this for the public. So we won these competitions for to not have a really traditional kind of typical types of swings or slides, but everything is from the earth, which is from the ground. Yeah, so we make a funny structure with the stone theaters, the stone playground, not stone, I'm sorry, it's for sand and earth. Yeah. So this is only the place people, the community can have some kind of festival. The inside, we put this huge jungle gym with this lamp. So you go up, also you can see another side of the slightly different view from the quarry viewing gallery. Okay, so next is the elevated the pedestrian system with the rooftop, urban rooftop. There is a very notorious project complex, so-called Paradise Complex. It's located very center. This is the central plaza, and this is the palace, and you have also another palace, and the stream is right here in the center, which is sitting on the road. And this is the biggest illegal building in Korea, built in 50s. It's by anonymous architect, very quickly, so nobody knows. And the problem that this structure has, that the urban context surroundings are so diverse and important for Seoul. Like for the Insadong Street is for the antique street. For the 4, this is palace, and 3 is small traditional courtyard houses with the courtyard shops. And 1 is the park for the elderly people who play chess. So all these different contexts are disconnected by this building for a long decade. See, it's very mega structures. See, it's it's covered on top of the street. Amazingly, you see the program is mixed like a small city. You can tell that the underground you have a food market for the restaurant neighborhood, and the lower floor is musical instrument store, which is largest in the world. It's 300 stores in here, and 4 to 5 is office, and there is a theater, and there's a ground parking, and the residential apartment, almost 150 units. So all this different program has different ownership, and they always have a kind of consensus about how to manage this building. But I won also this competition without a proposal, just showing the concept. The concept was make a connection to pedestrian and kind of infill new programs, which is abandoned part of these facilities. So it has problem that this is Main Street. You blocking views here as well, and very limited accessibility. This musical instrument store and the underground parking, and huge abandoned rooftop here. So what can we do? Like, I proposed a pedestrian loop for the reconnections. The city, because the ownership is so different, the only thing what we can involve is the outside of this building. So you cannot go inside. So thing is I can build elevated street on the top of the street, existing street, and I can put a new elevator for the accessibility on the empty land on the street, and also I can do something for this abandoned loop. That's it. So for the ground floor, there was a really huge parking lot that has always make a noise, and people don't want to go. So took all the parking, removed other places, and put a small, like small, how do you call it? Is pavilions like that, kiosk like that, so that the musical instrument store can be extended further to the street for the community use, and make another sunken entrance for the underground market. So if you see, previously this was all parking, but now it's full of this musical studios, instrument archive, galleries, and so on. And next issue was the accessibility, very limited accessibility. And by putting this elevated passage, not attached to the building, but stands on its own single column like this. It will be shown in next slide, but so you can have access to the more accessibility to the second floor for musical shop, and it has also further direct access to the rooftop. We propose that the rooftop can be open to the not only for people who live in here, but the public who can pass by here, because it has great views here. So not only outside, but we proposed them to buy a certain amount of shop at the office, so that make a huge internal connections inside. So previously it was like very dark here, and you don't have accessibility, but now you have a very strong accessibility, easy accessibility, and bright this piloty passage. And the front, yes, it also changed with a huge elevator with musical shops in here, both sides. Before it was blocking views from all main street, but you think differently. If you allow to go on this point, you can have totally open views to other side of city. You see these numbers, see all different context. You see the Korean traditional housings is mountain with a palace, and the historical churches, and the symbol of Seoul, the Seoul Tower, and Namsan, the mountains as well. And this loop can be also some kind of the gathering space for the different programs. So far, there was no kind of gathering for this different ownership, but they can be shared and make events for this kind of new loop. So these loops are for the community, and these loops are more like tourist and visitor here, because this is most top part. And what I realized by doing this project is that we always, in Korean traditional architecture, we had a courtyard in each house. The courtyard was completely empty and just is earth. But we did a lot of the ceremony, play, and less relaxation, everything, and contemplation on here. But by the rapid growth of the modernizations, we all lost this kind of courtyard. But in Korean blood, they still need that. So in the rooftop, they have exactly same thing when it happened on here. They can dry laundry, have a food, permanent food here, and have some kind of table put here. So it's quite interesting for me. So if we extend this idea further in the center part of Seoul, then you can really, it's going to be very interesting spaces to have happen. So these are the sometimes acupuncture like my method to revitalize this part of very illegal building. And we did really a lot of conversation with this different ownership through many times, many different options. And yeah, very harsh. You even don't know Korean, but you know, you feel the atmosphere. Actually, they throw the chairs to each other. Yeah, it was very tough. And the thing is that these are the most angry people were in the people who live in apartment on top. This apartment location is super good, very cheap because it's not convenient, it's inconvenient. If by this kind of Seoul metropolis's involvement, it's become nice place, they probably kicking out soon. So there are no place to live in the center part. So they inevitably, you know, keep. So you see X is not done. You see only 2 done. Yeah, so sometimes doing nothing is best for the community, which I realize. Okay, so in Korea, like we all like plaza, especially politicians really loves plaza. But in like our tradition town, there's always a street is more important than plaza. It's street was the social really the place that communication always happen. Yeah, so let's move on other site. This is located, the village that located on the quite hill topography. We call it Moon Village. It's very metaphor, poetical metaphor. Poor people, like differently with other countries. We at Korea, the poor people living on the high place because the accessibility is very not good and infrastructure is not good. So yeah, it's Moon Village, one of Moon Village, all gone, but it was before cemetery. Then we had this fire and the rain problem, so a lot of people lost their home. They moved in here to start living by tent. Now they become a Moon Village. But this is, I think, I can say the only one Moon Village left now, and it has really, you can feel the sense of community. They, you know, clean the street together and they make a kimchi, then they share it and make a, you know, there's a lot of this kind of communications. I really surprised. And what it happens here is, I found that there is a really loose concept of the boundary between my and yours. So normally we put the door here, but they don't put door here, but here. And normally we put door here, but they put door here. And when you go to your home, you can use the neighbor's staircase to get your home. And street and rooftop always full of this, you know, amenity and this community things, which was completely different from that we learned from the Western culture. So I interpret this to this small house. This is a small shared house for 5 people. This client is Seoul Metropolitan Government as well. So I quite interested between, there's no boundary between the private and public, so I extended. The house was too small, so we put all the corridors and staircase inside. The room's going to be getting smaller. So I didn't put it, but it extended street until the top so that you can you can really know this is street or this is the corridor, outdoor corridor. So it's the concept model, and you see the staircase. Each house has its terraces, small greens, and there's no boundary between street. So this didn't realize, so I expand this idea to more big project. It was called Minimax Village. I was invited a huge developer in Korea to make concept design for their new project. This is a new developed areas full of this kind of the very typical apartment, which is always has been like a slab type or tower type. I really don't want to see this anymore. So what I was interested is like, it's like this kind of vivid and intimacy. So what if we stack this and we can collect like a small garden, but it can be big garden, but small garden can be still on top, and you can have a passage in between, and it makes a new community like this. So this from this idea, and I tested one single project in Gangnam area, richest area in Seoul. So slightly different from this is So residence is office. So you have a terrace different, and you have a huge the piloty open area on top of it. So this is the collage that we call the cluster. So this is a composition. The cube became cluster, and cluster became communities with the foot of this elevated three-dimensional communal spaces. So this is the concept, yeah. Very interesting, yeah? But still, in ground, everything is so freely connected in huge space. You see, like this. Yep, and so we do a lot of research here, by the way. As public architect, I do a lot of research, and we do research mostly about the surplus and abandoned space by this kind of rapid modernizations. So one of the project interested in Seoul overpass and the underground bunker project that is trying to show you. We have many the overpass because we have many hills, mountains to connect each other. So we need inevitably they have to be this kind of. But interesting is you see the people always really challenging use this kind of spaces for community. So I started from research that we have one total 183, and among those things, 130, 53 is 90% no use, only parking, and collectively is more than 200 football. You cannot find now it's like a 10 football field empty in city center, but this is amazing. This was amazing. So I made a really huge research book how to develop this from very the beginning. So the one of the potential it divides this community, but if we do something, then it can be reconnected, and it's small, but it can be multiply used for this neighborhood. And it's linear, so we can make another linear city. It can be continuity there. And the interesting is you cannot see from this in the Google map because you can only see the overpass, but it's a hidden urban spaces. And even though it is small, but by networking adjacent other, this small project, it can have much more potential. So the different thing with the previous research about this overpass is this is all about the networking with the adjacent other communities. So yeah, this. And the government was quite interested, and they asked me to do one pilot project. So I decided site by myself. I was very lucky. The structure was very simple. You need some, because we have weather issues, so something had to be done in loom, and you have the urban living room and urban courtyard. They could be a different formation for the spatially. So this was the most symbolic, the abandoned space for one of the overpass. The huge spaces right in front of the metro, and even they have three overpasses. One is for train, two is for road, car road. This is empty totally. So it's something that I do for from metro station. It's like that. From the other shop street, I made another book, shop facade for the continuity. And this is where people, the children go for their elementary school. It's more like greenery. It's the backside of the part which can, the seating for the multiple event for the community. So it's important thing is to change. I was trying to change their people's, the thinking about this space. It's always noisy, it's dark, but actually it's not dark. It's quite bright, and I transport this into the kind of forest, urban forest. So at nighttime, inside it's really small, but also we have a special the technology that bring. There is a computerized loop glass, not the glass, it's mirror on top of the overpass road that tracking the sunshine every different time, so that it bring natural light, so they can grow a plant inside even very dark space. So it's basically very tiny spaces, but it's fully utilized by their people who live here. Then outside also as well. And artists come here to make their own intervention with the people. This they call a new type of playground. They have a community meeting here. So, for instance, the weekend. Every 3 minutes the trains goes up, make very noise, but people totally was okay with this. So nighttime, they finish work, before they go home, they stop by here, take a yoga. And sometimes they have this kind of classical concert in the middle of the car road. It's quite excited, the government, to see this kind of reaction. So they now did a second, third phase and keep going. But the important thing is they all communicate with the local people to what they want here. So for instance, this was the kind of fitness center and basketball playground for the youngster. Here is the just outside the terrace for this restaurants. Here is a small library and so on. So previously, the Bilbao was like a model of star spectacle. Then this High Line is conversion. This is coexistence in same spaces without harming any functions. So next is Bunker. So it's quite dense residential town. Many school means many students, children's. See many road, no place to play, and they found this. This you see only one small door, but nothing. But inside you have this military bunker, which was built in 50s right after Korean Wars. And sometime it changed it to the wine cellar. They rented the wine dealer, and then it's abandoned for a long time for warehouse. Nobody uses. So we won this competition that this like a secret playground for the children. So previously won, and it changed it like really not fixed, but it's more like a flexible system that allows future changes use, which I really inspired by this David project. It's not done, but it's getting done. changes. So yeah, this is structure of the possibilities, not completions. So we did some, the different shape of spaces on four very different program in terms of scale and the number of people that use. So this is entrance, and change like constructions is like this. So we made really gathering spaces, and rooms can be shifted, change it, and merge it. And we put another hanging garden, completely hanging from the structures, and planted a lot of the monstera. And you have a small lecture room here and another tiny hall here. You see. It's just finished about 2 months ago. As they are now demonstrating this. So there is another room for this basketball, and they quite now it's quite boom to have this kind of the virtual thing, but 10 years later, I don't know, I don't believe this, but anything can be, I think, happen in this loose framework of these structures. So outside is really is dirty things, but now it's like another public space for the pedestrian neighborhood here. So we have many mountains. So mostly our buildings happen to be stand on this slope. This was the competition that I won quite early stage after opening my office. There's a huge park here, but it's really difficult to get on top of it because the level differences. The park was completely closed by street with wall, and you have to detour. So I transformed this. This is the size of our site, and transformed the land into the building. So the school here, this is going to elementary school, they can here. This is playground, they can come here. The previously detour, now they directly can go here. From the adjacent town, they can come down and go enter the library. So when they meet different town, I made the loop theater for the performance and small terraces. So its whole idea is about connection. You have also entrance, another car park entrance, people entrance. So we have 6 entrances here. I was very blamed from this the learning organizations. We cannot learning this. We have only 3 people. You made the 6th door, then how can we, yeah. So I think it's okay, you can, book thief is good thief. He became good people in the future, so I persuade them, but 3, unfortunately 3 lockdown, but 3 still. But compared to other library in Seoul, they only have 1 or 2, but at least I have this small gate for this small library. I'm quite satisfied. You see, so everything is the schools, the town, the park, it's melting point. So this is facade. We have 3 entrances here already. It is another entrance. I didn't put the centrality here. We don't have any big hall or partial thing directly interact with the outside circumstance. So for children, you play, reading, same thing. That's the thing. And the greenery comes from fur and the loop and inside. So that's the materiality. Inside, you have a very hill-like, because it stands on the hill. So it's the existing landscape exactly come into the interior. You see here another up in the other. This one is like a sunken. So library is not only a space that you can read or study, but it's for the enjoy culture for this kind of small library. This is view from the mountain. They really, enjoy this kind of events many times. So we have many water system, water network. So another project that I like is this project. It's very historical town, not Seoul, but very close from Seoul. So you see this is old town, quite similar topography with the Seoul. It's like streams going through the old town. The thing is, this is our side. We didn't appreciate the value of nature for the community, so everybody throw away their garbage like this. So consequently, all the houses not facing the river, but facing back. So consequently, eventually, the street, nobody wants to walk. And stupidly, government, what they can do is like only clean this status, but because this is not public, this is private property, so you cannot ask something more than this. So all street front is quite closed. This client was father of one of my friends. He bought this really small, tiny piece of land in front of the parking lot of big church. So 7 meters, 6 meters, this is only what you can build. Land shape, super interesting. Yeah, this is the shape, but you have a lot of setbacks. So what I did is, the building interior is only this, but I want to have more, gesture to make a kind of, space for the people here. So I try challenge the architectural code. The wall cannot count it in coverage, but loop counted. But I treated them with this curved loop as wall, so it makes sense. Yeah. So I try to parasite this church as a apse like a shape, but you have a lot of the ambiguity here, like inside, outside. It's not very clear. It's a very low budget project. So this is the only place where you can avoid the rain or strong sun. So I put the old stair in behind, which is not also counted in GFA for this case. Second floor is small multi-use space. First floor is a tea house, and upper floor is a bookshop. So it's a very cheap material. So you have always like this kind of different transparencies, ambiguity. Not only for the construction, design fee was very cheap, so I asked this client to be work as my intern. So I asked him to make this study model. So it's quite low, but yeah, he also enjoyed. So people like this. So he bought the very adjacent all the houses and take down all the wall and make a pavilion for this tea house. So it's not weekend, just like Wednesday when I visited recently. Yeah, this is the annex building. Yeah, this is another small project that I invited by the other city. It's not really the building, but it's like a more landscape project, Path of Contemplation that I called. Let me show you this first. There is a lot of the residential area outside of this picture, but people really enjoy the walking through this car road. So the city decided to make a proper passage for this neighborhood, and only the thing they came to, the reason why they came to me is like this part of things, which is the intake tower of this reservoir. This for the agriculture, but no, it's stopped function, but it's just still there. And whether they were considering to leave it this or make a new road, then I suggest them to convert this bridge and this intake tower into the part of this passage. Yeah, so now it's finished like here, it's keep going like this. And you have a pavilion here for watch and take a rest, yeah. Yeah, this is it. So I took the old wall here because it's not functioning anymore, because it was closed for the public, but I found there is no, it's very interesting structure inside actually. And where it meets with the other part and existing part, I made another viewing terrace. So that always like they have a regulation that have a 1.3 meter, 2 meters of the fence that people can not fall over, but if you put down like this profile, that people who pass by still totally they can have an open view here, something like this. So this. Yeah, this was rocked the facility, but you still see the handles and pump and the pit that people can maintain. So an open pit is quite interesting. So I put the light and glass on top of it. Oh, okay. This is last thing. During COVID, we were able to get a 2 bank office tower from a major bank in Korea by competitions. Yeah, the thing is now all the same in the world. The bank, no one goes bank because you have everything in your mobile. So the local, there were so many. This is the same Hana Bank. They were all closed down, and they choose only one to demolish and make it bigger, and with a totally different concept. So what we proposed is like this type of bank is not working anymore. It's always like located in ground floor and closed 4 p.m. and it's really dead street, and upper part is very confusing tenants. So one is this, it's located very dense area, or the residential, this street is very commercial. Yeah, this previous one, they can build maximum like this. So we proposed is like cultural bank, is no one goes bank, but they want to know, they don't want to forgotten by these people. So I propose is making an urban living room for all this, the community people. For instance, like the different ages, they can just spend their time and relax, meet friends. This is the project. Yeah, that shape. This 15 floor above and 5 floor underground with parking. But interesting is bank is here. So totally low part is a public living room. We have a 2-floor kindergarten and 1 floor for this youth, for the middle school, high school guy. And this is smart office where the adjacent branch was all closed down. They come here to work, and we have nice view, look, garden restaurant. So ideally, there was a lot of kids living here. So the mother brings kids in the kindergarten. They spend time in cultural lounge here and meet their friends and go up the restaurant to spend time and pick up their kids and go home. This is kind of the perfect scenario that they liked. And because of the small size, not big size of the footprint, it's like a 16 meter by 32 meter, 1 floor. So we made a cluster concept. So every 2 floors you have this kind of different type of vertical connection with a different shape, atmosphere of green in front of you. So this is a lobby. Yeah, this is before interior, just structure that I'm showing. Yeah, this is cafe. This is bank. This rooftop restaurant. So you see all the shape inside the shell. Inside they have different profile of shell. So greenish is all changes. We decided this material is in situ concrete with is kind of curve and cantilever, which is from the traditional. Well, it's not traditional maybe. They asked, we want 2 bank, the other totally different context. Yeah, this is located quite business district. It's small office, not a big office building, but small offices, startups are here. So I made another totally different strategy because I wanted to make a kind of urban oasis, a lot of greenish because this is very dry conditions, and I need some kind of noise and the protection from this traffic issues, so that I'm something very ambiguous skin that not really closed but is slightly differentiated. Inside you have very different the green and the open spaces are all connected from the ground level and onto the top. It's like also same cluster concept, yeah. So different color, different program. Cultural lounge bank, smart work centers, pavilion cafes, lobby square. So this is a model. So it doesn't have a really strong edges. You don't really see what's the boundary of buildings in and out. It's clusters, ground levels. You have because this part of street very noisy, so I made a pedestrian route inside of things, and you have many this kind of the collective space. And this screen filtering strong sun also, bring reflecting sun inside when it's winter. See. So the skin, this 3-dimensional louvers is made with this kind of this very small profile, like a 25 millimeter square with this kind of pin that connecting 3 into 1. So actually this 3 is one structure, but you have more infiltrations, transparency. So as consequences, it has like a matte materiality. This is a gross shiny materiality. So there's a reflection with this butterfly-like dot, which also coordinated with the leaves, flowers inside of this green. Yeah, so it's I took the model picture, so I was quite liked, and it's going to be start for next year, for next during maybe 3 or 4 year for construction. Okay, that's it. So I'm reconnected of my project is for the communities like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.